Imagine two little girls watching an animated movie, enthralled by the music, the fantasy, the magic, and the mystery of a lost princess who survived when no one else did, and an evil mystic that held life and death in his hands. Now imagine learning the truth behind that story was a real family, real fear, and a real tragedy so powerful that the world refused to let it end for decades. On this episode of Spirits Uncorked, we're talking about the story of Anastasia, the Romanovs, and Rasputin. The historic event that became a ghost story without a ghost, a missing persons case when she wasn't missing at all, and the ultimate mystery that has been solved but still leaves unanswered questions. So pour a drink, settle in, and join us. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spirits Uncorked. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Erica.
And we're talking about a super fun topic, one that we enjoyed because we enjoyed the childhood movie Anastasia.
Yes, obsessed.
Totally obsessed. So we're going to enjoy talking about this today. But first, we have to talk about what we're drinking.
Which, unfortunately, today, because I'm literally snowed into my apartment and there is a drift of ice the size of my car behind my car. I don't have any wine, so I'm drinking some water. I don't have any leftover wine, and I did finish off that vodka, so...
So you're totally out.
Yeah.
So that's what it's like in DC right now. But fortunately, here in Atlanta, it's perfectly fine to drive. So I got a little festive. And I made myself, bartender. I made myself a Moscow Mule.
Wow, you're so fancy. Did you put it in a copper cup too?
I don't have a copper cup, so I just put it in a mug.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so since you're the bartender, let's see what's in a Moscow Mule, bartender.
Mint, lime, a little bit of simple syrup, and vodka.
There's ginger beer in this.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ginger beer. Yeah. That's what you top it off with. I use this it's a combination. It's like a cucumber vodka. Oh. It's so good to make a Moscow Mule with that.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like super crisp and like fizzy and whatever. Yeah. I don't think that I've ever had one before today. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Wow.
So
They're really good.
I had to Google how to make it. I had no idea what was in it. I mean, I know that you're supposed to drink them in a copper mug. I don't know why. I guess to keep it, cool or what?
No, apparently there's the copper does add to the taste in some way, but I don't remember what that is.
I don't know why I've never had one before, but yeah, I thought since we were talking, it matches the subject matter.
The Russian theme, yes. Even though, well, I guess Rasputin was born in Siberia, but he ends up going to...
Erica's going to give us the total rundown.
I know. I really hyper-focused on this. I have so many notes, so
Good. Well, so let's talk about what I know, which is the animated movie.
Yes. The rumor of Anastasia still being alive.
I mean, I hope that people listening are kind of obsessed with this movie too. I mean, hopefully people in our age group.
So many people are. I mean, come on.
Yeah, such good music, such a mystery, and you kind of you're rooting for this to be true and for Anastasia to be alive somewhere. It just makes such a good you're just pulling for this to be true and for this princess to be out there somewhere. And of course, so cute Meg Ryan and what's his face and their cute little romantic banter. And
I know.
And then her pretty little navy evening gown at the end when she's at the ballet. Yeah. So, I mean, in the movie, Rasputin is portrayed as the like the evil, mystic,
Hmm.
creepy sorcerer guy. But I
Yeah.
mean, let's talk about the real life.
The real story of what happened. Her dad, Nicholas II, was the Tsar of Russia.
And we're
And
talking about early 1900s-ish, like
yes, yeah,
1915,
she was
17.
born in 1901.
Okay, Anastasia.
And so it was, yeah, and then she died in 1918.
Mm.
And so,
She
I
was
mean,
like 17, 18 when she died? Oh,
mhm.
wow. Okay, I thought
Yeah,
she was younger.
I know. That's how it's because
Hmm.
of the
The movie,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah. So her father was a really bad czar. And so he was terrible. There was like all these uprisings and he was a terrible leader. He was making really bad decisions for the country. And like one of them, like Rasputin, having him be like the right hand man, people didn't like that either. So the people rose up against him.
It was
Oh,
the Bolsheviks were the ones who rose up against
yes.
like the Civil War, yeah. Hmm.
And ended up like guards took the family, put them in a basement,
Right.
and shot them all.
Right.
And she had siblings, Maria Nikolovina, Alexei, and Olga and Tatiana. Alexei was the youngest, and he had hemophilia. And so he was actually younger than her. She was the second youngest, and he's the reason why Rasputin became part of the family in the first place. Yeah, I mean, it's not a very fun story. The only reason why they said the rumor of her possibly still being alive or any of them still being alive happened because they didn't properly bury everyone.
What I read was they ended up finding where all the yeah, it was kind of like a mass grave or something, but they
Hmm.
did end up doing DNA testing and they did find her DNA. So they
Oh, they
definitely,
did.
yes, they definitely
Oh,
know that
okay.
she did die with her family.
Yeah.
Now, I also read that at least 10 women did claim to be her. And some of them were super, super convincing as
Hmm.
like in the movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like before DNA testing was really popular. So some of them were like, that's how this perpetuated because
Hmm.
like one of them said, I hid among the bodies and they believed that I was dead. And she came
Yeah.
up with this really, really convincing story and people just bought into it because they wanted to believe it.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying, like you're rooting for this poor girl to live, to get
Hmm.
out. And then I found this other thing that when they were shooting all of the family members, that some of the girls,
They
yeah,
had gems sewn into
gems into
their,
their corsets. So the girls didn't die right away and they had to finish them off with bayonets.
yeah. Yeah.
Can
Yeah, I
you
was just gonna bring that part
imagine?
up. Yeah, the bullets were actually ricocheting off their. I mean, obviously there's still, but yeah, they fully knew like what was happening. And I mean, I know it's brutal. It's a brutal death.
That's so sad. Can you imagine just like the horror in that room?
Oh yeah, so okay, yeah, here's what you were talking about. So one of the ladies who claimed to be Anastasia was named Anna Anderson, and that was in 1920. Yeah, so she had trauma and scars. She gained supporters from the Romanov relatives. Yeah. But she constantly contradicted herself and she didn't speak Russian fluently. Like, come on. She was likely a mentally ill Polish factory worker.
Oh,
That's what it
wow.
says. Dang, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Russian's hard. I tried to teach myself Russian over COVID, and I even had somebody from Moscow helping me each week, and Lord Almighty, it
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Let me read this overview about the Russian Revolution real quick.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, so the Russian Revolution, period of massive political and social upheaval in Russia that culminated in 1917. So for centuries, Russia had been ruled by the Romanov dynasty with Tsar Nicholas II, Anastasia's dad, who was the last emperor. By the early 20th century, widespread poverty, food shortages, and military failures in World War I and growing resentment towards the monarchy had pushed the country towards collapse. So by February 1917, protests and strikes forced Nicholas II to abdicate the throne, ending over 300 years of Romanov rule. Later that year, the Bolsheviks, led
Hmm.
by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in the October Revolution, promising peace, land, and bread to the suffering population. Amid this turmoil, the Romanov family, his wife, and their 5 kids became prisoners in the revolutionary government. They kept them under house arrest, and then what you're talking about, then one day they took them to a room and just executed them
Yeah.
because they didn't want any of the kids to ever seize power again. Any of the Romanovs to ever seize power again. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's,
ended the line completely.
yeah. Grigori Rasputin, he was born in 1869, and he ended up dying in 1916. He was born in Siberia, because dude was just, ugh.
Well, he
So
looks creepy as well. Hell.
he has like, so he's got that really dark, long hair and beard, but his eyes were like a very piercing blue. Like even in pictures like the ones I sent you the other day from the book I was reading,
Hmm.
I mean, even in a black and white picture, he looks so creepy.
Yeah.
He was born to poor peasant farmers. I guess like he had a lot of trauma because Siberia was so brutal. There was a lot of violence and death in the area because I was like, how does this guy get so crazy? But people did describe him in the area as very strange and intense and unpredictable.
Hmm.
I'm just like wondering like what he would be diagnosed with if he was alive today because dude was crazy. Like would we think that he's a mystic or like cuckoo?
I don't think we think mystics are real anymore.
Yeah. He did have this super obsession with religion because he believed he saw the Virgin Mary. Like, she came to him and like blessed him and gave him these healing powers that he claimed to have. He kind of starts off, even though he was weird, he was very kept to himself. He probably had a mental breakdown, is what it was. He was like almost a shut-in situation. And then he moved on to going to school to be a monk. He would, oh yeah, that's right. He would wander around like the country. He would be gone for months or even years and then just return. And he's just like getting more and more powerful in his healing stuff that he was doing. He rejected like normal church rules and his philosophy as it like began to morph and take place. He actually believed the more you sin, the closer to God you are. So he had like crazy like sexual orgies. He was, really sick in the head. So he would just sin as much as possible and then you redeem yourself and then suddenly everything's okay.
Well, that's
I
a
don't.
handy little doctrine, isn't it?
I know. I was like very convenient. He did have a lot of charisma. And so he basically entered into the Romanov family because I think so. What happened was, is their mother, Alexandria, her son was so sick and no doctor could heal him. She was absolutely desperate.
Mm.
And Rasputin was going around the country with like It was like a group of traveling religious dudes. And so she caught wind. And essentially, the first time he met with Alexei, who was a sick little boy, he was able to heal him. But it says online that realistically what happened is he was very calming in nature and charismatic. He was probably able to get the little boy to calm down, which slowed the internal bleeding that he had. It's not
Mm.
like he was like perfectly healed, but it was a miracle to Nicholas and Alexandria, so they kept him around. And
Mm.
he just grew more and more a part of the family. And he was eventually just like giving Nicholas, here's what I would do if I were you, and giving him advice. And he had so much control over the Romanovs. And
Oh.
that was part of the issue that people had. So he was able to know, and he saw the uprisings, he saw what was going on.
Mhm.
Rasputin died in December of 1916. And I mean, basically, the Russian nobles got together, and the group was led by Prince Felix Yusupov. But basically, they blamed Rasputin for Russia's collapse during World War One, and he had too much power. So what they did is the Russian nobles invited Rasputin to go to dinner, and that's not unheard of for him to be asked to go to dinner with a bunch of Russian nobles because he was in a very respectable place or position, I guess. So what they did is they served him cakes and wine laced with cyanide. And I
Mhm.
guess it was like a really decent amount of cyanide. But he ate and drank and he didn't die. He didn't even get sick. So, like possible explanations, maybe the heat of the food neutralized the cyanide. So, because he didn't die from the cyanide and they had this whole dinner and everything, that prince, Yusupov, he shot Rasputin in the chest.
Oh, he just shot him.
Yeah. Everyone thought that he had died, but he didn't die.
Yeah.
And so I guess he actually, like, he did fall down, but then when they went to check his body, he, like, actually opened his eyes and, like, lunged at the prince. So I guess he, like, actually escaped through a courtyard. Rasputin did after being poisoned and shot. They shot him a few more times. And then they wrapped up his body and threw him in let's see here, it was the Neva River. And so they threw him in this icy river, and that is the only way they were able to kill him. But so I don't know how many more times he got shot when he was like running through the courtyard, but they did an autopsy on his body, and he was still breathing when he was thrown into the river. So he still hadn't died after being shot many more times. There was water in his lungs.
Wow.
Yeah, so it really adds to like the creepiness of him because he just looked so creepy. He was so mystic, and everybody's convinced that, he was getting power from the devil. And, there's all kinds of lore that could go with that.
And he also had a very controversial relationship with the imperial children as well.
Oh, yeah, I did. I don't know a whole lot about it, but
Some
yes.
claims of being improper with the children, even though the children said that they were at ease with him, but like the nannies or whatever were like they were horrified with his
Mhm.
behavior around the children in the nursery.
He had, they always call it sexual aggression, but I
Hmm.
mean, Come on, we know what he was doing to people,
One of
probably.
the girls' governesses, Sophia, blah, 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 Russian name that I can't pronounce, was horrified in 1910 when Rasputin was permitted access to the nursery when the four girls were in their nightgowns. She wanted Rasputin barred from the nurseries. In response to her complaints, Nicholas asked Rasputin to end his nursery visits. And then, oh, that nanny got fired in the end. She ultimately got fired.
I know.
Well, that's disturbing. He probably was a creep.
Yo, yeah. Super, super creepy. And it's just kind of interesting because the documentary I watched and the I didn't like read that whole book, but basically they just call it sexual aggression, which really makes
Yeah.
me angry. It downplays
Yeah.
probably some very horrifying things that he was doing.
Well, and then there was several accusations of just all-out rape by oh, there are names. In 1909, I cannot pronounce these names.
Hmm.
Kyonia Berlatskaya, one of Rasputin's early supporters, accused him of rape. So a lot of his early female followers ended up saying that he behaved inappropriately.
Yeah, and he had kids. I want to know
He
if
had
his,
kids?
yeah,
Was
oh,
he
he
was he
had
married?
female followers that were like,
Oh, that just gave birth to his kids?
yeah, I mean, it was like a straight up,
Cult.
yeah.
You know what's weird is that I did watch that Elizabeth Smart documentary,
Hmm.
and she says in the documentary that her kidnapper, she's like, he looked like Rasputin. She
That's
says
so
that in the
weird.
documentary, and he's like a crazy cult leader, and this guy sounds like a crazy cult leader who, like, you know what I mean? Isn't that weird?
It's weird that you just watched it and then I texted you, can we
Yeah.
do Rasputin? That's really weird.
No, and I'm telling you, they look alike.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do look alike.
Hmm.
Yes, he had a wife who died in 1887. Basically, he left her in their Siberian village while he wandered and did his thing. They had three children. Dmitri died young. Maria, and it says the important one. Oh, she's the only one who survived. And then Varvara, born in 19 or 1898, she loved her father despite everything, fled Russia after the revolution, lived in Europe, then the United States. She was a dancer and a circus performer and a lion tamer.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Later, she worked as a nurse and a factory worker. She spent most of her life insisting her father was misunderstood, denying the worst sexual rumors, blaming political enemies. She wrote a memoir portraying him as loving, spiritual, and unfairly demonized.
Oh, wow.
Did Maria have kids? Come on, you know what I'm asking, dude.
You know what I love about our little podcast, Erica? We're discovering all of this in real time.
No. Okay, I did research, but when things come up when you're talking, you got to look it
No.
up. Okay, so yeah, Maria had a husband named Boris.
Of course, Boris.
And they had two daughters, Tatiana and Maria.
Mm,
They grew up far removed from Rasputin's mystique. They lived private, ordinary. Some grandchildren and great grandchildren are believed to still be alive today.
yeah.
So yes, Rasputin's maybe the dude. Maybe. I
Yeah.
find that kind of hard to believe now with like ancestry.com and 23andMe, like
Yeah.
that someone hasn't been marked as like the grandchildren.
Yeah. You know, we could do more of a deep dive into like Russian history and folklore and
There
like
is
there's
so
a lot.
much.
Yeah.
Russia is very, very like it's dark and creepy and
Yeah.
depressing.
And cold.
Very cold.
You could put some of your Russian language to use.
I could.
What do you remember of your little Russian language practice?
Actually, the other day I was practicing the alphabet. I
Let's hear
forgot
it.
about it.
Let's hear
Oh,
it.
I can't. Let me
Come on.
practice it.
Let's do
Let
it.
me
Let's do it.
let me pull it up because I don't have
No,
it.
do it from memory.
I can't do it from memory.
Do something from memory.
I can
Come
do I
on.
can do all the things she said in Russian.
Oh my gosh, do it.
Я сошла с ума, я шла с ума, мне не звонят. Раз, два, publicity, папа, прости, я сошла с ума. Learning songs in another language is a good way to learn the language.
Very good, very good. That was very impressive.
Rasputin influenced an empire, terrified aristocrats, became a supernatural legend, was murdered in one of history's most dramatic ways, and yet his legacy didn't become a dynasty. It became anonymity.
Yeah. Or just a villain in a pretty good movie. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a great movie. I'd punch her and I'd kick her, sir. I say
oh,
that all the
smart
time.
dog.
Yeah. And no one knows what I'm referencing.
Oh,
And I'd kick her, sir.
I
Oh, okay. So then also, I think I started to say it, but I we got distracted on something else. He knew that he was going to die. So when he told Nicholas, this is where the curse idea comes from. He told
do.
Nicholas, I will probably die.
Uh-huh.
He could feel the hatred coming against him, and he was like, and within 2 years of my death, your whole family will die. Initially, people thought this was a threat to keep Nicholas to like keep protecting him, and because then he'll make sure that Rasputin doesn't die, even if he falls out of favor, because basically it's a curse, it's a threat. But then he did die, and sure enough, all of the Romanovs were killed.
Gotcha. Okay, so that did kind of come from somewhere, the Rasputin curse.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. So there's some truth in there about Rasputin. He was like a supposedly mystical person. He was also like a bad, kind of ultimately bad,
Horrible.
manipulative person.
Yes.
Rasputin curse came from somewhere. Obviously,
Yeah.
the Romanovs did not get a fairy tale ending. Very, very
Hmm.
sad tragedy there. But, I think of Anastasia, obviously. Her story is enduring, I think, because people always want to cling to something.
Yeah.
And hers was just a little sliver of like hope, right? In
Hmm.
that whole story. It's kind of sad that they confirmed her DNA.
I know.
In the end, maybe she didn't survive, but the idea of her did.
I just think of like what it would be like to be alive during that time and these things are happening and that mysticism is going on and all of that. I mean, in a way, the movie's kind of nice because it does capture like that sort of
It
fear and
does.
darkness.
Yeah,
And I just can't imagine what it would be like to physically be around that, living it
right,
like in real time. Yeah.
right. For us, it was just a movie. All right. Well, we hope that you enjoyed this. And if you have anything to add, make sure you find us on Instagram at spirits.uncorked. We are also on YouTube now at spirits.uncorked and TikTok. I told Erica I was going to do this.
Das Vidanya.
I'm going to play it. I'm going to play us out.
You have to say Das Vidanya first.
Oh, das Vidania.